Hello and welcome back again, Coffee Beans. This is Soil and Water Conservation Engineering. Definition of terms. Parts TU and V. Tailwater. 1. Water. In a stream or canal. Immediately downstream form a structure. 2. Excess irrigation water which reaches the lower end of a field. Tailwater recovery system. A system modification to achieve greater efficiency in agricultural irrigation by collecting runoff for reuse in irrigation. Dew point temperature. The temperature of an air mass at which the condensation of water vapor begins is the temperature of the air mass is reduced. Dry bulb temperature. The temperature of a gas or mixture of gases indicated by an accurate thermometer protected from or corrected for effects. Wet bulb temperature. Wet bulb temperature is the temperature indicated by a wet bulb sensor of a psychrometer constructed and used according to instructions. Tensiometer. A type of soil moisture probe used to monitor soil moisture conditions to help determine when water should be applied. Tension meter. An instrument consisting of a porous cup filled with water and connected to a manometer or vacuum gauge. Used for measuring the soil water metric potential. Terrace. A broad surface running along the contour. It can be a natural phenomenon or specially constructed to intercept runoff, thereby preventing erosion and conserving moisture. Sometimes they are built to provide adequate rooting depths for plants. Terrace height. Difference in elevation between the bottom of the terrace channel and the top of the terrace ridge at a given cross-section. Terrace inlet riser. Vertical pipe installed in a terrace channel and connected to an underground drainage pipe. Terrace interval. Vertical or horizontal distance between two adjacent terraces. Terrace outlet channel. Channel, usually having a vegetative cover, into which the flow from one or more terraces is discharged and conveyed from the field. Bench terrace system. Level terraces built in stair-step fashion with a level to P and a steep vertical embankment between successive terraces. Used to improve distribution of rainfall or irrigation water. Broad-based terrace system. A type of terrace constructed so that crops can be planted and machinery safely operated on the entire cross-section. Channel-type terrace system. Terrace which is constructed by moving soil for the embankment from the uphill side only. Conservation bench terrace system. A broad level or flat channel terrace constructed below a sloping runoff, with erosion control as the primary objective. Grade terrace system. A terrace whose back and front slopes are constructed with steep but stable slopes and kept in permanent vegetation. Level terrace system. A terrace constructed along the contour with no slope and with either closed or open channel ends. Used primarily to retain runoff. Mangum terrace system, obsolete. Named from the originator of the broad-based terrace. Narrow base terrace system. A terrace whose back and front slopes are constructed with steep but stable slopes and kept in permanent vegetation. Non-parallel terraces system. Terraces fitted to the contour of the land, which are not parallel to each other. Parallel terraces system. Terraces, not necessarily on the contour, aligned so that the adjacent terraces are nearly parallel to each other. Ridgeless channel terrace system. A terrace constructed usually by excavation on nearly flat to gently sloping land to remove excess surface runoff water at non-erosive velocities. Ridge-type terrace system. Terrace embankment constructed usually by excavation on nearly flat to gently sloping land to remove excess surface runoff water at non-erosive velocities. Steep backslope terrace system. A terrace constructed with the front slope and channel to be farmed in a steep but stable backslope, which is usually seeded to permanent grass. Terrace width. Combined width of the terrace channel and ridge is measured horizontally from the upper edge of the channel to the edge of the lower slope of the terrace ridge. Terracing is the construction of earth embankment or ridge and channel across the slope at an acceptable grade to control the flow of runoff as well as soil particles. Test hole. A borehole drilled through underground formations to map the geology of the area or to evaluate the site as a potential well location. Thyssen polygon is the location of the rain gauges that are plotted on the map of the area and stations and are connected by straight lines. Threshold level. Level established is the average rate of water use. Threshold velocity. The minimum velocity required to initiate movement of soil particles by direct pressure from water or wind. Throat. Constricted flow area in a hydraulic structure. Tile alignment. Degree to which the center line of a tile falls in line with the center line of adjacent lines. Tile cradle. Support laid underneath a tile line in unstable soil to keep horizontal and vertical alignment of the tile line. Tile density. Quality of a tile that determines its crushing strength, and its ability to resist water absorption and damage by freezing and thawing. Tile drain. Short lengths of concrete or pottery pipes placed end to end at a suitable depth and spacing in the soil to collect water from the soil and lead it to an outlet. Tile joint. Opening between two drain tiles through which water from the surrounding soil flows. Time or concentration. It is the time required for precipitation excess to flow from the most remote point of a watershed to the outlet. Time to peak TP. It is used for flood forecasting and water quality studies. Watershed response time. Toe drain. Subsurface drain across the toe of an earth dam. Designed to intercept water moving through the embankment. Toe wall. Downstream wall of a hydraulic structure. Top width. Horizontal distance across the top of a ditch or embankment. Total discharge head is the reading of a pressure gauge at the discharge of the pump. Converted into feet of liquid and referred to datum. Plus velocity head at the point of gauge attachment. Total dynamic head is the sum of total static head, pressure head, velocity head and friction head. Total head is the measure of energy increases per pound imparted to the liquid by the pump and is therefore the algebraic difference between the total discharge head and the total suction lift exists. The total head is the total discharge head minus the total suction head. Total suction head. It is the head required to lift water from the water source to the center line of the pump plus velocity head. Entrance losses and friction losses in suction pipeline. Total suction lift. Sum of static lift, friction and entrance losses in the suction piping. Trap. An enlargement in a conduit or hydraulic structure which reduces the flow velocity allowing sediment to be deposited. Triangular hydrograph is the approximation of the basic hydrograph. It is developed mainly to simplify flood routing procedures in the U.S. Triangular weir, a sharp-sided 90-deg V-notch weir, tributary, a stream that contributes its water to another stream or body of water. Trickle spillway, a pipe or other conduit through an embankment to carry low flows to maintain a constant water level in a reservoir. Turbulent flow, a flow in which the fluid particles move in an irregular random manner, in which the head loss is approximately proportional to the second power of the velocity. Unconfined aquifer, an aquifer whose upper boundary consists of relatively porous natural material that transmits water readily and does not confine water. Undercutting, erosion of material at the base of a steep slope. Overfall, or cliff by falling water. Stream, wind, or wave action, produces an overhanging cliff. Underflow. 1. Movement of water through a pervious subsurface stratum. 2. Flow of water under a structure or ice. Uniform flow. Flow in which the velocity and depth are the same at each cross-section. Unit hydrograph is a hydrograph with a unit volume of direct runoff for a given storm duration. It represents the response of the basin on a given storm duration and characteristics, and enables one to synthesize hydrographs for complex storms by superimposing the hydrographs resulting from the individual components of the storm. Unit stream, amount of water per unit of width turned into each border strip or basin during irrigation. Unit surcharge, a surcharge imposed for all water use above a threshold level for excess consumption established based on average per capita or per household. Unsaturated flow, movement of water in soil in which the pores are not completely filled with water. Unsaturated zone, that part of the soil profile in which the voids are not completely filled with water. Unsteady flow, a type of flow in which discharge is not constant with respect to time. Upland, an area where soils are generally relatively well drained such that the water table is significantly below the soil surface most of the year. Urban runoff, storm water from city streets and adjacent domestic or commercial properties that may carry pollutants of various kinds into the sewer systems and or receiving waters. Utility, public water service provider. Vacuum relief valve, drain valve, valve used to prevent a vacuum in pipelines and avoid collapsing of thin wall pipe. Vacuum tanker, airtight container on a truck or trailer to transport liquid, and loaded by suction. Vadose zone, zone of unsaturated soil that extends from the soil surface to the groundwater table. Vapor pressure deficit, difference between the existing vapor pressure and that of a saturated atmospheric vapor pressure at the same temperature. Velocity head is figured from the average velocity obtained by dividing the discharge in cubic feet per second or cubic meter second by the actual meter and determined at the point of the gauge connection. Head or energy due to the velocity of a moving fluid equal to the square of the mean velocity by twice the gravitational acceleration. Vent, an appurtenance to the pipeline which permits the passage of air to or from the pipeline. Venturi flume, flow measuring flume with a contracted throat that causes a drop in the hydraulic grade line. Preferred term is partial flume. Vertical drain, vertical shaft to a permeable substratum into which surface and subsurface drainage water is channeled. Vertical interval is a vertical interval between corresponding points on successive terraces or from top of slope to the bottom of the first terrace. Vertical shaft pump, a centrifugal transfer pump which utilizes a power source above the manure level and is connected to the centrifugal impeller by a vertical drive shaft. Very poorly drained, a soil that remains wet and waterlogged for most of the year so that most of the horizons are blue. Olive or gray due to the reducing conditions. Hope it helps. Thank you again for listening. Please like, subscribe and comment your suggestion on topics you want to hear. Links of previous topics are stated in the description box below. See you in the next part. Bye. Rar.